Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to solve Cambridge International AS and A-Level Mathematics Paper 1, Pure Mathematics 1 in a session October-November 2022, Paper 1-2. So let's start with the first question. Question number 1, points A and B have coordinates 5, 2 and 10 minus 1 respectively. Part A, find the equation of the perpendicular bisector of AB. Okay, so we have to find the equation for the perpendicular bisector of AB. For this, we need two things, the slope of AB and the midpoint of AB. So let me start with the midpoint of AB. So midpoint has a formula, add up the x components divided by 2, comma, add up the y components, y1 plus y2 and divided by 2. That is the midpoint. Now the midpoint of AB, adding the x components are 5 and 10. 5 plus 10 divided by 2. Add up the y components 2 and minus 1. 2 minus 1 and divided by 2. Let me simplify this further. And we have this is 15. Sorry, 15 by 2. And the other one is 1 by 2. Okay, right. Now the second thing we need is the slope or the gradient of AB. So slope has a formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now in order to figure out the slope or the gradient of AB, slope of AB, which is x1 y1 x2 y2 y2 minus y1 minus 1 minus 2 over x2 minus x1, which is 10 minus 5. This is negative 3 divided by 5. This is the slope of AB for the line AB. Okay, now we know that the slope of perpendicular bisector of AB, this is negative, and the reciprocal of this slope, which is minus 3 by 5. So whenever we have to take the slope for the line which is perpendicular to the given line, we have to do the slope should be negative reciprocal in perpendicular, because we need to find the equation of perpendicular bisector of AB. When we have to find the equation of AB, then this slope is for the equation of the line AB, and for equation of the line which is perpendicular to AB, which is negative, and the reciprocal of this slope, negative and negative is positive, 3 by 5 reciprocal is 5 by 3. So that would be the slope, right? Now the next thing is to find out the equation of perpendicular bisector of AB. It has equation y minus y naught is equals to m into x minus x naught. Okay, so y minus x naught, and y naught is the coordinate of midpoint. This is your x naught and y naught, right? This coordinate is your x naught and this one is your y naught, and this is your value for m. Okay, so y naught is 1 by 2, y minus 1 by 2, m value is 5 over 3, and into x minus x naught is 15 by 2. This is the equation of perpendicular bisector of AB, or this is also fine, or you can just simplify it into y equals to mx plus c form. Both are okay. Now for part B, find the equation of the circle with the center A which passes through point B. So first thing first, let me write down the standard form of equation of circle. Equation of circle is x minus a whole square plus y minus b whole square equals to the radius square. That is the equation of circle, right? And a and b are the coordinates of center and r is the radius. Now the center we have given is a is the center, and a has a coordinate 5 and 2. Okay, so we have given that since a is the center who has coordinate 5 and 2, means the a value is 5 and the b value is 2, right? Let me put it. So x minus 5 whole square plus y minus 2 whole square equals to the radius square. And the second information we have given that the circle passes through B. Passes through point B. Who has the coordinates 10 and minus 1, right? If the circle passes through this point, then it must satisfy the equation of the circle. You just put x coordinate, x value 10 and the y value minus 1. 10 minus 5 whole square minus 1 minus 2 whole square equals to the radius square. 10 minus 5 is 5 and this is negative 3 whole square equals to the radius square. 5 squared is 25 and 3 squared is 9, which is equals to radius square. And 25 add up with 9, this is 34, is radius square, right? So we have done with the value for r square, right? Now a and b is 5 2 and r square is 34. Now we can finally write down the equation of circle. X minus 5 whole square plus y minus 2 whole square equals to radius square is 34. That would be the equation of circle having a center A and passes through the point B. Question number 2. The first, second, and third terms of an arithmetic progression are a, 2a, and a square respectively, where a is a positive constant, right? A is a positive constant. Find the sum of the first 50 terms of the progression. So we have an arithmetic progression. The first term is a, the second term is 2a, and the third term is a square. Arithmetic progression has a common difference d, which is second term minus the first term, and that is equals to third term minus the second term, right? Now they both differences are equal. Let me solve for a because a is a positive constant. So now we have 2a minus a plus 2a. This would minus a square equals to 0, and that is 2 plus 2 is 4 and 4 minus 1 is 3. 3a minus a square equals to 0. Taking a common, we are left with 3 minus a equals to 0. This implies a value is 0, or 3 minus a would be equals to 0, and 3 is equals to a. So we have two values for a, either 0 or 3, right? If you put a equals to 0, 0, 2 times 0, 0 square, all the arithmetic progression is 0, right? So a is never be 0. A is a positive constant, so the value of a is 3. Now when the value of a is 3, what is my arithmetic progression now? Now the first term is a, which is 3. The second term is 2 times 3, which is 6. The third term is 3 square, which is 9, right? And so on. So the first term, now what is d? The common difference, which is 6 minus 3, that is 3. Now let me write down the sum formula for arithmetic progression, which is n by 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 into d. So for the sum of first 50 terms, so as 50 we need to figure out n value is 50 divided by 2, and we have 2 times a value is 3 plus n is 50, 50 minus 1, and the d value is also 3. A value, the first term is a, which is 3, and common difference is 3. I plug everything here, and now for the simplification, as 50 would be 50 over 2 would be 25. 2 times 3 is 6 plus 49 times 3. Okay, what is 49 times 3? 147. So S 50 is 25 into 6 plus 147. 147 add up with 6 is 153. So S 50 is 25 into 153. So take a product, 153 times by 25, 3825. As 50 is 3825. All right. Question number 3, part A. Find the set of values of k for which the equation has no real roots. If the equation has no real root, it means the discriminant is negative, right? So we can say for no real roots, we know that the discriminant p square minus 4ac should be less than 0. Okay. Now the a value is a coefficient of x square, which is 8. B value is a coefficient of x, which is k, and c is a constant term, which is 2. Now plug everything. B is k, take its square, minus 4 times a is 8, and c is 2. This is less than 0. This is k square. 4 into 8 into 2 is 4 into 8 into 2, 64. Minus 64 is less than 0, right? Okay, now here we can apply the difference of square formula in order to find out the roots. We can say k square minus 64 equals to 0. Here k square minus 8 square equals to 0, which is k plus 8, and k minus 8, the difference of square formula, right? A square minus b square is a plus b into a minus b, right? Now we can put both factors separately equals to 0 and solve for k, which is k plus 8 equals to 0. And we can say k minus 8 equals to 0. And from here the k value is negative 8, and here the k value is positive 8, right? Now we have two roots, right? Look at this quadratic equation. You guys can see this is a quadratic equation in a variable k, and the k square coefficient is positive, so the opening of the parabola is upward. Let me draw the sketch. Okay, so the opening of the parabola is upward. You can say this is how the parabola look like for the equation k square minus 64, right? This root is negative 8 and this root is positive 8, right? Okay, now we need to figure out when this quadratic equation is less than 0. On what values it is less than 0? The answer is less than 0. This is your k and these are your y values, right? When the y values are less than 0, when the k is between minus 8 to plus 8. So these are the set of values of k. Set of values of k are minus 8 is less than k is less than 8. We are not using equality, not equals to minus 8 or equals to 8, because when you do the equality, the y would be equals to 0, right? And we need to figure out when it is less than 0. When it is equals to 0, it has one real root. For when the discriminant is equals to 0, it has one real root. That is why we are not using the equality. So this is a solution, the set of values for k between minus 8 to plus 8. Now for part B, solve the equation, this equation for x is between 0 to 180 degrees. Okay, this look like a quadratic equation in cos theta. So we can divide every term by 2. All the terms are divisible by 2. Minus 10 is divisible by 2. Cos theta. 2 is also divisible by 2 equals to 0 divided by 2. 2 times 4 is 8 cos square theta. 2 times 5 is 10 cos theta. 2 times 1 is 2 equals to 0. Now here let me factorize this quadratic equation. 4 times 1 is 4, and when you do minus 4 minus 1 gives you negative 5. Okay, so break the negative 5 with minus 4 minus 1. Alright, now 4 cos square theta minus 4 cos theta minus cos theta plus 1 equals to 0. Alright, let me take 4 common and cos theta common. We are left with cos theta and negative 1. Minus 1 is common, cos theta and negative 1 equals to 0. So the factors are cos theta minus 1, and we have 4 cos theta minus 1 equals to 0, right? Okay, now we can put separately equals to 0. Cos theta minus 1 would be equals to 0, or we can say 4 cos theta minus 1 equals to 0. From here the cos theta value is 1, and here 4 cos theta is equals to 1, and cos theta is 1 over 4. All right now, as you can see, this equation tells us cos is positive. Here cos is positive. From 0 to 180 degree, cos is positive only in the first quadrant, right? So if I can draw the coordinate diagram and show you guys that from 0 to 180 degree, cos is positive only in the first quadrant, right? In first, all trigonometric ratios are positive, second sine positive, then tangent is positive, and then cos is positive. This is 0 degree and this is whole 180 degree. So from 0 to 180 degree, in the first quadrant cos is positive, in the second cos is negative. So these two cases are for the positive, so we are just considering the first quadrant, and first quadrant theta is basically equals to the base angle, right? So first thing, figure out the base angle for both. Base angle is the value for theta, right? So base angle is theta equals to cos inverse of 1 in degrees. We have to do this, right? My calculator is in degrees. Okay, cos inverse of 1 is 0, so theta value is equals to 0 degrees, right? And 0 include into the domain. Okay, now do the second case. Find out the base angle first, and in the first quadrant the angle theta is equals to the base angle. Theta would be equals to cos inverse of 1 by 4, and this is cos inverse 1 by 4 is 75.5 degrees. So these are the two desired solutions from 0 to 180 degree. Question number 4. A geometric progression is such that the third term is 1764 and the sum of second and third term is 3444. This is a sum of the second term and the third term. Find the fifth term. Okay, so two information we have given. For geometric progression, we have the nth term. The nth term is a r to the power n minus 1. So what information we have given? Given that the third term t3, which is a r 3 minus 1, is 1764, that is a r square. Okay, now the sum we have given, the sum of the second term and the third term, which is ar and ar square, and this sum is 3444, which is we can take a and r common. um, no need to take home because ar square is already we have, plus a r square. We can name it a second equation, and this is my first equation. Now here we can say put equation 1 in equation number 2. Okay, so the equation 2 becomes 3444 equals to ar, and ar square is 1764. Now let me solve for ar. 3444 minus 1764, this is your ar. Okay, simplify. 3444 minus 1764, this is 1680. So 1680 is your ar. This is my third equation. Now we have ar, we have ar square. Okay, we can simplify to get the value for a and the value for r. Okay, if I can divide both of the equations, yes, or you can also do the division of both, or you can say ar square would be ar into r and put the value of ar. Equation 1 becomes, now we can make equation 1 as a r square equals to 1764. ar into r is 1764, Now AR is equation number 3. Put equation 3. AR value is 1680 into R is 1764. Now let me solve for R. R would be 1764. My R look like 9 and 1680 division, right? Okay, 1764 divide 1680, that is 20 over 20, 1.05. 1.05 is the value for R, right? Now when you have R, just solve for A. You can say put in equation 3. Now AR is 1680. A would be equals to 1680 divided by R. So 1680 divided by R is 1.05. 1680 divided by answer, which is 1600. This is the value for A. Now we have A and we have R. We can find out the fifth term, right? So we can say for fifth term, we need to figure out T50. Sorry, the 50th term. T50 equals to A R 50 minus 1. Okay. Now the 50th term is A value is 1600, R value is 1.05, and this power is 49. Okay, this multiply with 1600 multiply with 1.05 to the power 49. 17474. Okay, 17474, and the final answer up to three significant figures. This is a third significant figure which we have to round up. So one first, second, third significant figure is round up, so it is 5, and the rest of the two digits are replacing by 0. So this is answer in three significant figures for the 50th term of that geometric progression, arithmetic progression. Sorry, geometric. Question number 5. The graph with equation y equals to f of x is transformed to the graph with equation y equals to g of x by the stretch in x direction with the factor 0.5, which is 1 by 2, followed by the translation, which is 0, 1. Okay, so part A, the diagram below shows the graph of y equals to f of x. This is a graph for f of x. On the diagram, sketch the graph of g of x, right? So the first transformation we have to apply is stretch in x direction. Stretch in x direction. So when we do the stretch in x direction, it means the x coordinate only change by the factor of 1 by 2, but you have to multiply by 2, right? X coordinates are just multiplying by 2. So first we have y equals to f of x. Now y equals to f of 2x. The x values are multiplying by 2, right? Okay, so these are the values for x. The x value is 0, the x value is 2, the x value is 4. These values are multiplying by 2. So we have a coordinate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coordinates. Okay. So if I can write down all the coordinates for f of x over here, or it is better if I can use a separate paper for this number 5a. Okay, I'm just writing down the coordinates, right, and applying the first transformation, right? So first is a stretch, RETCH, in x direction by a factor of 1 by 2. If it is by a factor of 1 by 2, then we have to replace f with 2x. X is replacing with 2x. The reciprocal of 1 by 2 is 2. So x values are multiplying by 2 because it is in x direction. Now this coordinate, I'm just going to write down the coordinates first, right? So the first coordinate, this is 0, 1. X is 0, y is 1. This coordinate 1, 3. For this coordinate 2, 1. Okay, this coordinate is 3, 3. and this is 4 and 1. Okay, that is 4 and 1, right? The x values are multiplying by 2, right? 0 times 2 and 1 is as it is. 1 is multiplying by 2 and 3 is as it is. 2 is multiplying by 2 and 1 is as it is. 3 is multiplying by 2 and 3 is as it is. The y coordinates are as it is. 4 times 2 and the y coordinate is 1. So the new coordinates are, okay, so the new coordinates become, this is 0 and 1. This is 2, 3. 2 times 2 is 4 and 1. 2 times 3 is 6, 3. 4 times 2 is 8, 1. Okay, after applying the first transformation, right? So let me sketch the uh, graph by the first transformation f of 2x, which is 0, 1. X is 0, the y value is 1, that stays the same. 2, 3. When x is 2, the y is 3. This point, then this point. All right. And then we have 4, 1. So x is 4 and the y is 1 over here. Then 6, 3. When x is 6, y value is 3. Okay. The last is 8 and 1. When x is 8, the y value is 1 over here. Let me sketch this. This is after the first transformation, right? This is not exactly the graph of g of x, but this is a graph after the first transformation, right? This is for the first one. Okay, now the second transformation is, we have translation. You guys can see translation. Horizontal translation is 0, the vertical translation is 1, right? So the second transformation is translation 0 and 1, right? This implies we have a vertical translation 1 unit up. Vertical means up. Okay, so y equals to f of 2x add 1 with the whole function, right? Just move 1 unit up. So when we move 1 unit up, I will be doing with the red. So 1 unit is up, 1 unit is up, 1 unit up, 1 unit up, 1 unit up. So this would be the graph. These are the coordinates now after. This red one is the graph for g of x. This is for g of x after the series of two transformations. Alright, now for part B, find an expression for g of x in terms of f of x. Okay, so we have y equals to f of x. First transformation is a stretch in x direction by a factor of 0.5, that is 1 by 2. So means the y value, x values are multiplying by 2. So y would be equals to f of 2x, right? The second is translation. We have a translation, no horizontal translation, the vertical translation is only 1. So with the whole function, you have to add 1. Y equals to f of 2x. We just have to add 1. So this implies your g of x is basically f of 2x plus 1. This is a function for g of x. Sorry, the equation for g of x. Question number 6, the equation of a curve is y equals to, this is equation of curve part A. Express the equation in the vertex form where A, B and C are constants, right? So here we have to apply the completing square method. So by completing square method, we have the function y equals to 4x square plus 20x plus 6. The first step of the completing square method is to take the coefficient of x square common from the first and the second term. Here the coefficient of x square is 4. So take 4 common. Here we are left with x square plus 20 divided by 4x. and this constant term is as it is, right? So 20 by 4, to 4 times 5 is 20. So y equals to 4 into x square plus 5x plus 6. Now in the next step you have to take the coefficient of x, divide it by 2 and take its whole square, which is 25 divided by 4. You need to add and subtract this number inside the bracket. Okay. Now y is equals to 4 x square plus 5x plus 25 by 4 and minus 25 by 4 and plus 6 is as it is. Now combine the first three terms. Y equals to 4 is combined with the first three terms inside the bracket, and minus 4 is multiplying with minus 25 by 4 and plus 6 is as it is, right? Now complete this square. Y is equals to 4, this square is x square and 5 by 2 square, so x plus 5 by 2 this whole square, and this x and this x is cancelled out. From minus 25 add 6, minus 25 plus 6 is negative 19. So now it is in the form of a into x plus b square plus c, where a, b, c are constants, not integers. Now for part b, hence solve the equation 4x square plus 20x plus 6 equals to 45. So 4x square plus 20x plus 6 is basically y, hence means use the answer from the part a. So this whole thing is basically y. So we can say 4 into x plus 5 by 2 whole square minus 19 equals to 45. Alright, let me solve for x. 4 into x plus 5 by 2 whole square equals to 45, and shift the 19 on the other side, it becomes plus 19. In 45 add 19 is 64. 4 x plus 5 by 2 whole square equals to 64. Now divide both sides by 4. X plus 5 by 2 whole square equals to 64 divided by 4. Divided by 4, that is 16. Okay. In order to get the x value, take the square root on both sides. And whenever we do the square root, the answer is in plus minus on both sides, right? Now x plus 5 by 2, this is plus minus 4 because root 16 is 4, right? Now we have two solutions here. The first one is x plus 5 by 2 is 4, and the other one is x plus 5 by 2 is negative 4. Now for the simplification here, x would be equals to 4 minus 5 by 2. And what is the value for x? 4 minus 5 by 2? 3 by 2. And on the other hand, we have x is equals to minus 4, and shift this on the other side, it is minus 5 by 2. Minus 4 and minus 5 by 2 becomes minus 4 minus 5 by 2 is negative 13 by 2. So these are the two set of values for x for this equation, which is 3 by 2 and negative 13 by 2. These are the two solutions. Now for part C, sketch the graph of this function showing the coordinates of the stationary point. Coordinates of the stationary point, you are not required to indicate where the curve crosses the x and the y axis. Means we are not supposed to find out the x and the y intercept. We are just sketch, and you have to show the stationary point. Okay, so as you can see, this is a quadratic curve, and we can write this down as y equals to 4. We have done in part A this, right? This whole thing can be written in this form, right? Let me do it. X plus 5 by 2 minus 19, x plus 5 by 2 whole square and negative 19, right? So this is a quadratic equation, and in the graph is a parabola, right? As you know, x square coefficient is positive, so the opening of the parabola is upward. And the stationary point is basically the turning point or the vertex point, right? So stationary point is the turning point of the curve, or we can say the vertex point. In this case, it is a vertex point because the parabola only turns on the vertex, right? So the vertex point is the turning point or the stationary point. Okay. Now, if I can just label the stationary point or the turning point or the vertex point, this would be negative 5 by 2 with negative 19. And 5 by 2 is negative 2.5 with negative 19. This is the turning point, or we can say the vertex point of the parabola, right? And the second point we can say is opening of the parabola is upward. Why the opening is upward? Because x square coefficient is positive. Because x square coefficient is positive. All right. Now let me sketch this graph. X coordinate should be negative 2.5 and the y is negative of 19. Okay. We are not supposed to sketch the intercept, the x and the y intercepts, right? Okay. Now the x should be equals to negative 2.5 is over here. This is negative 1, negative 2, and negative 2.5 is this point. Okay. And negative 19 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Now for the negative 19, we can say if this is negative 2.5. Okay. And we have some other point we can label. If I can label the y by the scale of 5, minus 5, minus 10, minus 15, minus 20. So minus 19 is somewhere over here. This is the vertex point. We can say the turning point, which is negative 2.5 and negative 19 for the parabola, the vertex point. Okay. Now let me sketch the parabola. This is how the sketch look like. We are just supposed to show the opening of the parabola and the stationary point or turning or the vertex point. No need to find out the at what point they cross the intercepts, like the x and the y intercept. Question number 7, part A. Prove the identity the left hand side equals to the right hand side. Okay, let me start from the left hand side. So the left hand side, you guys can see it has a denominator sine plus cos and sine minus cos. So multiply with the opposite denominator, right? The first step, this sine theta is multiplying with this denominator, which is sine minus cos. Plus this cos is multiplying with the opposite denominator, sine plus cos. And whole thing divided by sine plus cos and sine minus cos. Okay. Now here we use the identity that a plus b into a minus b. A square minus b square would be equals to a plus b and a minus b. Okay. Now multiply sine with sine, sine square theta minus sine theta cos theta plus sine theta cos theta plus cos square theta. And in the denominator, We have sine square minus cos square, right? A plus b, a minus b, a square minus b square, right? Okay, now here we have sine theta cos theta minus sine theta cos theta. It is cancelled out. We are just left with sine square theta plus cos square theta. And here we have sine square theta minus cos square theta. And use the identity again, that sine square plus cos square is 1. This is just 1. Okay. So, okay. But if we use it, we can do 1 over sine square minus cos square. And then we do the rationalization, because here we need to find tangent square plus 1 and tangent square minus 1. It's plus and it's minus. So it is better to divide the numerator and the denominator by cos square theta, right? So sine square theta divides with cos square theta, plus cos square theta also divide with cos square theta, whole divided by this sine square theta divides with cos square theta, minus cos square theta divides with sine square theta. Sorry, cos square theta. So here you guys can see cos square theta, it is cancelled out, it is just 1. And sine over cos, we know that the ratio for the tangent theta is sine theta over cos theta, right? Use this concept. Sine over cos is tangent square theta. This is plus 1 over, this is again tangent square theta and minus 1. This is your right hand side, it is proved. Okay. Now for part B, hence find the exact solutions of the equation this thing equals to 2 for theta is between 0 to pi. So this thing we have done is tangent square theta plus 1 over tangent square theta minus 1, that is equals to 2. Okay. Now cross multiply, here we have tangent square plus 1 equals to 2 into tangent square, and 2 into 1 is minus 2, right? Shift all the terms to the left, so we have tangent square theta minus 2 tangent square theta. This is 2, and shift the constant on the right, which is minus 1. So now we have minus tangent square theta, this is equals to 1. Or we can say tangent square theta, sorry, it's negative 2. Already negative 2, shift the 1, so negative 3 is just 3, because cancel the negative sign on both sides. So tangent square theta is positive, right? To get the value for tangent theta, take the square root on both sides. Square root and the square root. And whenever we do the square root on both sides, the answer should be plus minus. So the answer is tangent theta is plus minus square root of 3. Now we have two cases. The first case is tangent theta is root 3, and the other case is tangent theta is minus root 3. Here tangent is positive and here tangent is negative, and the domain is between 0 to pi, the first and the second quadrant. Okay, let me draw the coordinate diagram and check in which quadrant it is positive and in which it is negative. Okay. Okay. So here we know that in the first quadrant all trigonometric ratios are positive, in second quadrant sine is positive. This is 0 and this is pi. So here we have the base angle, theta is the base angle, and here we do pi minus that base angle. Okay, now the first equation tells us that tangent is positive. So it is positive only in the first quadrant. And tangent is negative, it is negative only in the second quadrant according to the given domain from 0 to pi. Okay, so the first thing is to find out the base angle for both. And the base angle for both cases. So base angle is basically the value of theta, which is tangent inverse of root 3, and theta, which is tangent inverse of root 3. So again I'm telling you that the base angle, we need to find the base angle without these signs. Just consider it positive, and then we need to check in which quadrant it is negative. This is in radians. My calculator is in degree mode. So convert it into radian mode and find tangent inverse square root of 3. This becomes pi by 3. So the base angle is pi by 3 in both cases. Alright. This equation tells us that tangent is positive. So tangent is positive according to the given domain of values of theta is only in the first quadrant. So we can say tangent is positive in first quadrant. So what is the value for theta in the first quadrant? So the theta value is your base angle. So theta is pi by 3. This is one of the solution. Now do the second case. This tells us that tangent is negative. So tangent is negative according to the given values of theta from 0 to pi is only in the second quadrant. So here we can say tangent is negative in second quadrant. So in the second quadrant, the value of theta is pi minus the base angle. Pi minus the base angle is pi by 3. So what is pi minus pi by 3? Pi minus pi by 3, 2 pi by 3. Okay. This is the second solution from 0 to pi. Both belongs to 0 to pi. Question number 8. The equation of the curve is such that we have given the first derivative. The curve passes through the point 3, 5. Find the equation of the curve and the point where it passed we have given. Okay. Now the information we have given is dy over dx. The first derivative is given to us, which is equals to 3x to the power 1 by 2 minus 3x to the power minus 1 by 2. In order to get the equation of curve, integrate both sides with respect to dx. Okay, so when we integrate with respect to dx, this dx and dx is cancel out, derivative and integral is cancel out. So we are just left with y, that is equals to 3 applying the power rule, x to the power plus 1 over power plus 1 minus 3x its power plus 1 over power plus 1 plus some constant of integration because this is indefinite integral. Okay, further simplification, y would be equals to 3x to the power 3 by 2 divides 3 by 2 minus 3x to the power 1 by 2 divides 1 by 2 plus the constant of integration. Okay, now here y would be equals to 3. 3 by 2 becomes 2 by 3. X to the power 3 by 2 minus 3, 2 by 1. 1 by 2 is 2 by 1. X to the power 1 by 2 plus c. So this 3 and this 3 is cancelled out. The equation of curve is y equals to 2x to the power 3 by 2 minus 3 times 2 is 6x to the power 1 by 2 plus the constant of integration. Now we just need to find the value for the c by using the point, that the point 3 and 5 passes through the curve, so it must satisfy the curve, right? Y value is 5, the x value is 3. 3 to the power 3 by 2 minus 6, 3 to the power 1 by 2 plus c. Okay, now let me simplify this, which is 2 into 3 to the power 3 by 2. Okay, and minus 6 into 3 to the power 1 by 2. So this, both of them are 0. 5 equals to 0 plus c. So 5 is the value for c. Now and then we can say that the equation of curve is y value, c value is 5, right? So the equation of curve is y equals to 2x to the power 3 by 2 minus 6x to the power 1 by 2 plus 5. That is my equation of curve. Now for part B, find the x coordinate of the stationary point. Now to get the x coordinate of the stationary point, what we have to do, for stationary point, we need to put the first derivative equals to 0 and solve for x. As we know in the question, we have given the first derivative. You guys can see this would be the first derivative of the curve. Put it equals to 0. 3 x to the power 1 by 2 minus 3 x to the power minus 1 by 2. This is equals to 0. Now this is 3 root x minus 3 over root x equals to 0. Take an LCM. 3 root x into root x minus 3 divided by square root of x equals to 0. This is 3x minus 3 equals to 0 times root x cross multiplied, right? So 3x minus 3 would be equals to 0. 3x equals to 3. X would be equals to 3 over 3. So x would be equals to 1. So this is the x coordinate of the stationary point, which is 1. Moving to part C, state the set of values of x for which y increases as x increases. Okay, as we know that x is equals to 1 is the stationary point. We have done in part B that x is equals to 1 is the stationary point, but we have no idea that the stationary point is maximum or minimum, right? So if the stationary point is the maximum, then this is how the graph look like. This is x is equals to 1, right? And if the stationary point is minimum, this is how the graph look like, x is equals to 1, right? So when the stationary point is maximum, when the stationary point is minimum. It says as x increases means x is 1 if you pick the values which are more than 1. Let x is greater than 1, so we have to suppose the value x is equals to 4, right? And put this value into the first derivative. Dy over dx is 3 4 to the power 1 by 2 minus 3 4 to the power minus 1 by 2. Let me simplify this. Okay, 3 into 4 power 1 by 2 minus 3 into 4 power minus 1 by 2. That is 9 by 2. And this is 4.5. And this is greater than 0. It is positive. So as you guys can see, when x value increases, the y value increases, right? So this is not the case. You can see we are not considering this case. In this case the x is decreasing here, right? And in this case the x increases, the y increases. So this is the only case, right? So the set of values of x, the set of values of x are x is greater than 1. And we know that when y increases as x increases, the first derivative should be greater than 0. So that should be an increasing function, right? So the set of values of x when the y values increases as the x values increases are x is greater than 1, not less than 1. Because for less than 1, it is decreasing. Question number 9, function f and g are defined by f of x and g of x, where a is a constant. Part A, find an expression for g f of x. G f of x. G with f of x, which is x plus 1 over x. This is f of x. And g of x is a into x and plus 1. So this is expression for g f of x. Okay. Now for part B, given that g f of 2 is 11, find the value of a. Okay, so we have given g f of x. So g f of, just replace x with 2. This is a 2 plus 1 over 2 plus 1. Okay. This g f of 2, this should be equals to 11. We have to find the value of a. 2 plus 1 by 2. 2 plus 1 by 2 is 5 by 2. 5 by 2a would be equals to 11, take away 1, which is 10. So a would be equals to 10 times by 2 and divided by 5. 10 times 2 over 5 is 4. So here the a value is 4. Okay. Now for part C, given that the graph of y equals to f of x has a minimum point where x is equals to 1, explain whether or not f has an inverse. Okay, so we have given that it has a minimum point at 1 and we need to state whether it inverse exists or not. So we have the function f of x, which is x plus 1 over x, where x is greater than 0. All the values of x are greater than 0. So let me graph this out and check by giving some x values 1, 2, 3, 4, and greater than 0. All x values which are greater than 0. So if I can graph it out and check, as the x values are more than 0, we have to give this input, right? And values can be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on, right? So let me give the value of 1. 1 plus 1 over 1. 1 plus 1 over 1. This is 2. So at 1, it is at 2. This point is 2, right? Add 2. 2 plus 1 over 2. 2.5. At 2, it is 2.5. This point. Okay, now 3. 3 plus 1 over 3. 3.33. At 3, this point is 3 and 3.3 is over here, right? Okay, now 4 plus 1 over 4. 4.25. This is 4. This point is 4. Okay, if I can label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if I label that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When x is 4, the y values are 4.25 over here, right? Now when x is 5, 5 plus 1 over 5 is 5.25. 5.2, sorry. This is 5.2 is over here. Okay, and so on. So I started from 1. So if I can take the numbers between 0 and 1. Okay, so 0.2 plus 1 over 0.2. 5.2. 5.2 is over here. You guys can see when you put x is equals to 5, its answer is 5.2. When you put 0.2, its answer is also 5.2. Okay, so this is how the shape of the curve, you guys can see. It says it has a minimum point at x is equals to 1. So this is x is equals to 1 and this is the minimum point. So you guys can see it is f inverse does not exist. Why? The first thing is it does not satisfy the horizontal line test. This graph does not satisfy the horizontal line test. If you draw the horizontal line at any point, it intersects at 2 points, right? And the second thing is the function is not one to one, right? For every input the output is not unique. When you give the input 5, the output is 5.2. When you give the input 0.2, the output is also 5.2. You guys can see 0.2 is 5.2 and 5 plus 1 over 5, this is also 5.2, right? So these are the two reasons we can say f inverse does not exist, because the graph of f of x does not satisfy horizontal line test? First thing. Or the second reason you can state, or f is not one-to-one function. One-to-one function is a function for every input the output is unique. F of 5 has the same output as f of 0.2. Both have the same output, which is 5.2 and 5.2. You guys can see from the graph, when you give the input 5 or when you give the input 0.2, the outputs are same, right? The outputs are not unique, right? Outputs are not unique. So this is the reason that the inverse does not exist. It is given instead that a value is 5. Part A, find and simplify an expression for g inverse f of x. Okay. So a value is only in the function g, right? So a value is 5. 5x plus 1 is the function g of x. When a is equals to 5, g of x is 5x plus 1. Now let me solve for g inverse of x first. Okay, for g inverse of x, the first step is to put y equals to g of x, which is y equals to 5x plus 1. Then switch the variables, x is 5y plus 1. Now solve for y. X minus 1 is 5y. X minus 1 divided by 5 is your y, and this y is my g inverse of x. Okay, we need to simplify the expression for g inverse and f of x. Okay, so g inverse and f of x is the function which is x plus 1 over x. Right, x plus 1 over x is the function, and g inverse of this expression is x value is replacing with x plus 1 over x. X plus 1 over x minus 1 divided by 5. Or the simplified expression for g inverse f of x is 1 over 5 is outside. We can say x plus 1 over x minus 1. That is the only simplified expression. Okay. Now for part E, explain why the composite function fg cannot be formed. So keep it in mind that the composition of two functions is possible when the range of the inner function must contain the domain of the outer function, right? So outer function is f, so we can say we have given that the domain of the function f is x is greater than 0. We have given in the question that the domain of f is x is greater than 0, right? Now g of x is a linear function, right? So it's for this d and e part, you guys can see the a value is 5. So it is a linear function. Linear function domain and range is all real numbers, right? So what is the range for the g? Range of g is y belongs to all real numbers, right? This is all real numbers and the other one is only greater than 0, right? So the composition is possible when fg domain of range of inner contains the domain of outer. Here we can say f composition g is not possible because the domain of f, which is greater than 0, does not fully contain the range of g, which is all real numbers. This is all real numbers, and this is only the positive ones. So all real numbers include 0, positive and negative, the whole number line, right? But this is only from 0 to positive, so it does not contain the whole. So that is the only reason that the domain of this does not contain the range of it, because domain contain the some part of the range from 0 to positive infinity, but it does not contain all. From 0 to negative infinity does not contain. It contain only the positive values. Question number 10. The diagram shows a cross section RASB. Okay, R A S and B of the body of an aircraft. The cross section consists of a sector OARB of a circle of radius 2.5 meters. Okay, we have O, A, R, and B. This is a sector of a circle with the center O and the radius is 2.5. OA is 2.5, OB is 2.5, with center O. And a sector PASB of another circle of radius 2.24 meters with the center P. Okay, so PASB is another sector of a circle with a radius, center is P, and PAPB is the radius, which is 2.24, right? So this is basically a sector OARB and another sector PASB. Okay, and a quadrilateral OAPB. OAPB, this in the middle, it's a quadrilateral. Okay, angle AOB is 2.2 by 3 pi, and angle APB is 5 over 6 pi, right? Part A, find the parameter. We need to figure out the parameter of the cross section RASB, the whole cross section. Giving your answer correct to 2 decimal place. The answer should be in 2 decimal place. Parameter for this cross section, right? Parameter of a cross section is, you guys can see, we need to figure out the arc length of OARB. This arc length, the parameter, plus the arc length of PASB, this arc length. Okay, so we know that the formula for the arc length is, arc length has a formula radius times theta, because theta is given in radians, in pi, right? Okay, now let me write down the parameter. All right, so now the parameter is this sector OARB, right? Arc length OARB plus arc length PASB, this arc length. Arc length is radius times theta. For this one, the radius is 2.5, and this would be the angle theta, which we need to figure out, right? Whenever we need to figure out the arc length for this sector, we need to know the radius of the sector, which is 2.5, and this angle would be the theta. So what is that angle? The whole circle is 2 pi. So from 2 pi, if you take away 2 pi over 3, you will get that angle, right? Let me simplify. 2 pi minus 2 pi by 3, which is 4 pi by 3. 4 pi over 3, this would be the angle over here. So for that sector, we have the radius 2.5 and the angle 4 pi by 3. So the radius is 2.5, multiply the angle is 4 pi by 3, plus the other sector, the radius is 2.24 and the angle is 5 pi over 6. 2.24 times 5 pi over 6. The answer should be in 2 decimal place. Let me simplify. 4 pi by 3 multiply 2.5. That is, or we can say 10 pi over 3. And 5 pi by 6 multiply 2.24, which is 28 pi over 15. Now the final answer should be in two decimal place. 28 pi over 15. Add this up into 10 pi over 3. 26 pi over 5. That is the final answer, but we need the answer in decimals. So up to two decimal place, 16.336. So now the final answer for the parameter, this would be 16.34 meters. That is the final answer of the parameter up to two decimal place. All right. Now for part B, find the difference in area of two triangles OAB and APB. Okay. Triangle OAB and PAB, the area of two triangles, and find their differences. Giving your answer correct to two decimal place. Okay. Now we need to figure out the area of the triangle as a formula. Area of triangle has a formula half AB sine of angle C, right? Now the first thing we need to figure out the area of a triangle. Area of triangle AOB. Let me show you. AOB, this triangle. So if we consider this triangle A, O and B, this triangle, we have the two sides are 2.5, 2.5, and the angle between them is 2 pi by 3. So this is half 2.5 into 2.5, and sine of the angle is 2 pi over 3. This is in radians. Your calculator should be in radians. Yes, it is in radians, right? Sine 2 pi by 3 multiply 2.5 multiply 2.5 and divided by 2. That answer is 2.7063. Okay, up to four decimal place, right? 7063. Okay, now figure out the area of the other triangle. Area of triangle PAP and B. Again, look at this small triangle APB, this triangle. Half the two sides are 2.24, 2.24, and sine of angle 5 pi by 6. Half into 2.24 into 2.24, and sine of the angle between them, which is 5 pi over 6. Okay, now sine 5 pi by 6 multiply 2.24 multiply 2.24 and divided by 2. This answer is 1.2544. Now to find out the difference in area, difference in area of two triangles, area of this triangle and this triangle, difference would be 2.7063 and subtract 1.2544. Let me simplify this further. 2.7063 subtract answer, which is 1.4519. We need to find the answer up to two decimal place, right? So we can say the difference in area, this is 1.45 up to two decimal place in meters square basically. So that is the difference in areas of the two triangle. Difference in area of the triangle is basically, you guys can see, we found the triangle area of the bigger triangle, then area of the smaller triangle. So from the bigger subtract the smaller, so we will get the area of this one, this inner region. We can, if I can shade it, this one, we got the area of this region. because when we do the area of the bigger triangle AOB, this bigger one, and subtract this smaller one, you will get area for this region only. Okay. Now for part C, find the area of the cross section RASB, giving your answer correct to one decimal place. Okay, RASB. Okay, RASB. We need to figure out the area of everything, right? So for this is a sector of a circle with the center OARB, and this is a sector of a circle with the center PASB, plus the area of the middle one. So we got the area for the top one, area for the bottom one, and the middle is the area difference between the area of the two triangles. Okay. For this, let me write down the area of a sector. Area of sector of a circle is half radius square theta. We have the radius and we have the theta for everything. Let me write down the area of cross section RASB. So area of a cross section RASB, this is area of sector OARB plus area of a sector which is PASB plus area of difference of triangles. Okay, now let me start doing the area. Area of a sector is half radius square theta. Radius for that sector is 2.5 square and theta is 4 pi by 3. Plus other one is half, radius is 2.24, take it square, and theta is 5 pi by 6. Plus the difference is 1.45, which we have already done in part B, right? Okay, simplify this. 1 by 2 times 2.5 square times 4 pi by 3 is 25 pi over 6. The other one is 1 by 2 times 2.24 square times by 5 pi by 6. This is 6.5680 plus 1.45. This thing add up with 1.45, add up with 25 pi over 6. The final answer is 21.10799. We need to figure out the answer up to one decimal place. So for the one decimal place, the area of cross section is area of cross section ION. This is 21.1 meter square. That is the area of the cross section. Question number 11, part A. Find the coordinates, means x and y, of the minimum point of the curve. This is the equation of the curve. For the minimum point, you have to put the first derivative equals to 0, right? Now take the first derivative dy over dx. 9 by 4 is a constant, x square derivative is 2x. Minus 12 is a constant, x derivative is 1, and 18 derivative is just 0. Right? Now simplify. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. So the simplified expression for the derivative is 9 over 2x minus 12. Okay. Now we know that for minimum point, we need to put the first derivative equals to 0. dy over dx should be equals to 0. and solve for x and the y coordinate. 9 by 2x minus 12 equals to 0. 9 over 2x would be equals to 12. When you shift that minus 12 on the other side, it becomes positive 12. Now let me solve for x. So x would be equals to 12 times by 2 and divided by 9. 12 times 2 is 24 and 24 by 9. This is the x coordinate, right? Now put value of x in equation of curve. So the equation of curve is y is equals to 9 over 4x square minus 12x plus 18. Right. Just substitute the value for x. 9 by 4. X is 24 over 9. Take it square. Minus 12 into 24 over 9 and plus 18. Let me simplify this. Okay, 24 over 9 is 8 by 3. You can use 24 by 9 or 8 by 3. Both are okay, right? Okay. Take it square. Times it by 9 by 4. That is 16. Negative 12 times by 24 over 9 minus 32 plus 18. So the y would be equals to 16 minus 32 plus 18, 2. Y coordinate is 2. Okay, now then we can say the coordinates of minimum point are, the x coordinate is 24 over 9, or you can do 8 by 3, and the y coordinate is 2. So these are the coordinates of the minimum point. Okay, the diagram shows the curves with equation. This is equation of the curve and this is equation of the curve. Okay, so this one which we have already done in part A, and this one. Okay, and we have found the coordinates of the minimum point for this curve. You guys can see we have done for this curve, right? Okay, so we have done with this minimum point. Minimum point coordinates are 24 over 9 or 8 by 3. We can write it down. And the other one is 2. The y is 2. The x is 8 by 3 and the y value is 2 over here. The curves intersect at point 0, 18 and 4, 2. Okay, the point of intersection of the curve is also given. So this point of intersection is x is 0 and the y is 18. And the other point of intersection of the curve is when x is 4, the y value is 6. All right. Now for part B, find the area of the shaded region only. This is the shaded region. Okay. So in order to figure out the area of the shaded region, we have to, this shaded area is basically the area between the two curves, right? So we have to integrate the top curve from 0 till 4, subtract the integration of the bottom curve from 0 till 4. That would be the shaded area, right? So we can say the shaded area, this would be, okay, so this curve is at the top, so we have to use this curve, which is integration is with the x axis, right? So the x coordinate is 0 over here and x coordinate is 4. So from 0 to 4 of the top curve, which is 18 minus 3 over 8, x to the power 5 by 2 with respect to dx. Subtract the integration of the bottom curve from 0 to 4, this would be the bottom curve. 9 by 4x square minus 12x plus 18 dx. All right. Now the shaded area becomes, we can integrate it. Now 18 integration is 18x minus 3 by 4 is as it is. You're applying the power rule of integration, 5 by 2 plus 1 divides 5 by 2 plus 1. This is from 0 to 4. Subtract 9 by 4 is as it is. X square integration is x cube over 3. Minus 12 is as it is. X integration is x square over 2. Plus 18 is as it is. We have x. This is again from 0 to 4. Let me simplify this further. So the shaded area becomes 18x is as it is minus 3 by 4. So x to the power 5 by 2 plus 1. 5 plus 2 is 7. So 7 by 2. The denominator is again 7 by 2, but we can reciprocate it 2 by 7. This is from 0 to 4. Minus, we have 9 over 4 divided by 3. 9 by 4 multiply by 1 over 3, which is 3 by 4. This is 3 over 4 x cube minus 2 times 6 is 12, 6x square plus 18x from 0 to 4. One more step for simplification. Okay, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, so we have 3 and over 14. 2 times 7 is 14. Wait a second, this is 3 by 8. Right. So we have to keep it 3 by 8 as it is. And 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, one more steps, then we can put the limit. So minus 3 over 28, x to the power 7 by 2. The limits are from 0 to 4, minus 3 by 4, x cube minus 6x square plus 18x, and the limits are from 0 to 4. Alright, now let me apply the limits. Right. After applying limits, the area becomes, the upper limit is 4. So 18 times 4 minus 3 over 28, 4 to the power 7 by 2. This is the upper limit. Subtract the lower limit is, this is 0, this is 0, no need to use it. Minus, for this one, the upper limit is 4 again. 3 by 4 into 4 cube minus 6 into 4 square plus 18 into 4. This is upper limit. Subtract the lower limit is 0, 0, 0. Right? Okay. Simplify this. We have 4 to the power 7 by 2. Multiply it by 3 over 28. And times by negative 1. So minus 96 over 7. Right? Okay. This thing adds 18 times 4 is 72, right? 72 minus, wait a second, let me do it again. 18 times 4 is 72. 72 subtract 3 by 28 and 4 to the power 7 by 2. 408 over 7. Subtract the lower limit, 4 over 3 by 4, and 3 divided by 4 times 4 to the power 3 minus 6 into 4 square and plus 18 into 4, 24 minus 24. 408 divides 7 minus 24 is 240 over 7. This would be the area, the shaded area, we can say, between the two curves. Alright, now for part C. A point P is moving along this curve in such a way that x coordinate of P is increasing at a constant rate 2 units per second means x coordinate. Rate means the derivative of x with respect to time is 2. It is increasing, so it is positive 2. Dx over dt we have given that is equals to 2. Find the rate at which y coordinate of p is changing when x is equals to 4. Okay, y coordinate. dy over dt we need to figure out at x is equals to 4 when x value is 4. Okay, so here we apply the chain rule. So by the chain rule we can say dy over dx would be equals to dx over dt into dt dy over dt, and this is dx, this is y over here, right? Dy over dx is dy over dt, dt over dx, right? Let me solve for dy over dx first. We have y over here, dy over dx, 18 derivative is 0, minus 3 over 8 is as it is, applying the power rule of derivative 5 by 2, x to the power 5 by 2 minus 1. So this derivative is negative, and we have 5 by 8, 3 by 8, multiply by 5 by 2, 15 over 16, and x to the power 5 by 2 minus 1 is 3 by 2. This is the derivative. Now what is the derivative at x is equals to 4? So we have dy over dx at x is equals to 4. This would be minus 15 over 16, 4 to the power 3 by 2. Okay. Negative 15 divides 16, multiply 4 to the power 3 by 2. This is minus 15 divided by 2. This is dy over dx at this point, right? Now here we apply the chain rule. Okay, for chain rule we have to use what we need to figure out. Dy over dt we need to figure out. So the chain rule of dy over dt is dy over dx multiply dx over dt, right? Y and t, this is dy, this is dt, and dx over here. Now we have everything. Dy over dt is dy over dx is minus 15 over 2, and dx over dt is just 2, right? So 2 is cancelled out with 2. So we can say dy over dt is negative 15, because in the question we says find the rate at which the y coordinate of p is changing, right? So it's changing means if x is increasing, the other one is changing the direction, so it's negative when x value is 4. So this would be the y coordinate of the p. All right, that's the last question of our paper. If you have any queries, please let me know in the comment section, and please subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Take care.